Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 48.
Congratulations, you showed up. Give yourself a high five in celebration of your success. Welcome to the Cashflow Diary, where new and experienced investors come to take confident action towards their goals. Your host is a family man, a real estate entrepreneur, investor, coach, and instructor. As a master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow 101 game, he's inspired many to begin their journey into creating cash flow for themselves and their family. And now, here he is to offer you the tools required to earn the income desired. Your cash flow coach, Jay Massey.
All right, and welcome. Glad that you're here for yet another episode of the Cashflow Diary. I am excited about this series that we're doing. I don't know if you've heard. If you haven't, glad you're here. But we're interviewing entrepreneurs from everywhere, all across the country, because many people ask me, how do you develop cash flow? Well, cash flow comes from solving a problem, and that's pretty much what we're doing. Is we're talking to some of the premier problem solvers, if you will, in the small business arena everywhere. And here's the fun part. You probably know a few of them right now, because you know what? Small business is the engine that keeps the United States going, and it's the engine that keeps the majority of every country going. And the difference is understanding the problem and, more importantly, figuring out how to create a solution. For those of you listening for the first time, glad you're here. If this is the first time, make sure you go over to episode 1, download that, understand a little bit more about the show. But if this isn't your first time and you haven't yet gone over to learninvestingnow.com, now is the time that you want to make sure that you do that, because I know many of you are excited about the information that we provide and have the ability to get, and some of you like to get it for free. Well, guess what? You got a free course right over there, learninvestingnow.com. Make your way over there so that you can take advantage of what we're currently offering, so that you can, again, increase your financial intelligence and, most importantly, become that bigger, better investor on your way to developing cash flow. With me today, I've got two dynamic individuals who I get to see on a fairly regular basis because they actually live out here in the Orange County area. And it's pretty amazing just being able to participate and watch many, many people grow and change and become new versions of ourselves. And that's pretty much what we're all doing. And they attack the real estate game, if you will. So this particular group of problem solvers happens to be inside of real estate. Now, mind you, not every problem, real estate isn't the only place that's got problems, right? All you got to do is check out any news episode and you'll see that. But these individuals happen to tackle the real estate issue as it relates to properties, and most importantly, properties being underwater. And if you don't know what that means, it just simply means that the property is worth less than what's owed on it. And they come at it from some very, very unique perspectives. And I think you'll be able to hear and gain some insights on how maybe you can begin to solve problems, how they can help you solve some problems, or maybe a problem for one of your friends. It doesn't matter. The thing I want you to hear from them is how they view their business, how it helps people, the stories and the things that they get to do because of their business. And that's what we all, as business owners, entrepreneurs, get the privilege of doing, is we get to take on the problems of others, and occasionally we make a profit, right? That's the goal. And at the end of the day, we get to feel good about what we do, work with the people that we love, and we get to, I just really like providing solutions. Okay, so what I want you to do is that I want you to pay attention. I want you to hear how they attack the real estate world, and welcome, if you will, the owners of Short Sale Solutions. We have with us today Marlene Waterhouse and Tina Hartman. You guys there?
Yes, we are.
I'm here.
Yay. I'm glad that you're there. Thank you for being here today. Tell us a little bit, if you will, when you say Short Sale Solutions, some of us may not actually even know what a short sale is and the solutions that you provide. But in general broad strokes, what would you say is a short sale?
Well, it's definitely exactly what you said. When somebody is upside down in their property value, meaning they owe more than what their property is now worth, essentially a short sale is when you go to your lender and ask the lender's permission to allow you to sell it for less than what you owe.
Okay.
And so that's what we help homeowners and agents facilitate, is to get the bank to approve that.
That sounds like a bit of a challenge to me. I mean, you've got someone who maybe is giving you $100,000, $200,000, or if we were talking California, right, $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 on a residence, and now you're saying, hey, we'd like to sell it for what, half? I mean, I don't know. You tell me.
It's for whatever it's currently at fair market for.
Wow. Interesting. And so I've got to have an understanding. I mean, we all know what happened back in, 2007, 2008, and things fell apart. But how did you guys decide that this was the area of real estate that you were going to actually tackle? How did that even come about?
All right. Well, actually, we started in the investment world. We actually were going after short sales as a form of an investment strategy, Marlene and I. And from there, it was determined that we were actually pretty good at the whole short sale process. And then an agent friend of ours came to us and said, hey, I see what you're doing. Why don't you process our short sales for me? And so we did, and a business was born at that point. So essentially, agents bring us their short sales, and we process them from start to finish.
Oh, wow. And just out of curiosity.
And we've been doing that now.
Uh-huh.
We've been doing that now for 6.5 years.
That's a lot of processing. And I'm told that short sales typically take either a long time or have a lot of paperwork.
Correct. There is nothing. There's nothing short in a short sale. They definitely can take some time.
I've been known for accusing short sales of being a long purchase, actually, because that's really what ends up happening, is that somebody's trying to buy the property and it takes a long time for that to actually get done. So I always find it funny. So I'm kind of curious, Marlene, on when you look at the business and the landscape today, marketplace, if we listen to the news, we might, be deceived into thinking that everything is getting better. And what do you mean there's properties still underwater? Is that similar to what you guys are seeing, or are you experiencing something different?
Well, it's actually very interesting, because we were looking at that same thought process earlier this year, thinking that short sales have a shelf life, and with the equity boom or mini bubble that we've been experiencing, thinking, okay, is this the end of what we know traditional short sales to be? Well, we all know that the market has cooled down. Interest rates kind of play a game with, property values, and things aren't as rosy as some of the news and the media will say it is. And add on to that, there's a few dynamics that the outside industry, i.e. the news, is not really thinking about. And the factors are, there are loan modifications that were placed in 2006 and 2007 that are due to reset, which means they had a 5-year interest-only payment or very, very low start rate. And at the end of that 5th year, that loan modification is going to be recasting. And when that does, that homeowner's payment is going to increase, and they may not be able to make that payment again. So then it puts them right back in that same position, because most people thought, 5 years and we'll be out of this. That'll be plenty of time. The second dynamic is back in 04, 05, 06, when this boom was hitting, people were taking out HELOCs left and right and stripping equity out of their house. Most of those, or a large portion of those HELOCs, had a 10-year interest-only payment on them. So in 2014, we're going to head into that first year of that 10-year run of HELOCs, and they estimate about $35 billion worth of HELOCs are going to reset this next year. All the way through 2018, $111 billion of HELOCs will be resetting. The problem is if when that HELOC resets from an interest-only to a fully amortized loan, a lot of homeowners aren't going to be able to, one, afford that payment, and two, still clear the equity or clear their loans to get out of their house. So we quickly realized we are not through this process. So we're in business for a little bit longer.
I hope you like it. I think is really where we're going, because and I hope that for those of you listening, you hear the problem. The problem isn't necessarily the real estate in and of itself. Real estate can be distressed for many different reasons. The seller could be distressed. The financing could be distressed. The property in and of itself can be distressed. And what the game these ladies are playing and winning at, I might say, is the game of financial distress. That's really what's going on. And sometimes we try to take a temporary Band-Aid and that temporary Band-Aid in 06 and 07 seemed to be a loan modification. So basically, Marlene, what you're saying is that the first round of loan modifications that were intended to kind of solve the problem really just pushed the problem ahead 5 years, and now we're here.
Right.
Interesting.
Exactly.
And now
Also, too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to add, Jay, statistically, especially here in California, the numbers show that 25% of all homeowners are still underwater. That fluctuates, of course, with the market. But even with the market going up, it might decrease it by 1%. And I believe that number is true across the country. So there's still a lot of homeowners out there whose homes are not worth what they owe.
And just to be clear, you guys can't process all of those, can you?
No.
No.
I didn't say you didn't want to. I just said you couldn't process all of those. Because, see, someone might be listening wondering, why on earth would they even want to share information? And at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that the problem is bigger than any one entrepreneur. The problem is huge, and it's going to take a lot of us out there who are willing to look at the news headline and interpret it differently. Many of us have seen news headlines that say what these ladies are bringing to our attention, but when we look at the news headline, we go, oh, somebody should do something about that. Now, what they bring to the table is a potential solution for many people. And it sounds like you serve some customers, so the homeowner themselves. And I also heard you mention that you have agents that bring you transactions as well. Is that correct, Tina?
Yes.
Got it.
Agents are out there marketing, and then we do the back end work for them.
Got it. Is that because you like paperwork, or are you just really good at it?
It's probably a little bit of both. And homeowners are better served when they have people who know what they're doing handling that part of it. Most agents are not trained in this area, and as such, if you hear a statistic like only 60% of short sales get approved, that's only because the person who's handling it doesn't know what they're doing. For someone like us, we get 95% of our short sales approved, and that's only because we do it day in, day out, and know what to do.
Excellent. And that ties right into, as you're building your business, as you're going out there to make new things happen, bigger things happen, remember, you want to find people who play at the things you have to work at. And many of you know me. You've been following me for a while. You know good and well that I can't stand paperwork. Don't do it. Not good at it. Please don't ask me to do it. Yet, there are some people out there who are actually good at that stuff. And God bless them, because we need them, to clean up our mess. That's basically what I need them for. Please help me. And if you can create a business out of that, that's great, because that's a perfect skill set. You have the ability to understand that situation, to be able to do it in a fashion and you just have to do it better than the next guy. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be better than the next guy. And if you've got that skill set already, that's a great way to begin to create a business for yourself that has the ability to, increase the quality of life of your customers and business. So I'm just kind of curious. Give me a typical situation of a homeowner, if you will, that you've been able to assist, and what have been some of the things that your business has been able to provide in terms of a solution for them?
Let's see. Let me figure out which one we want to talk about. Well, Jay, we have helped hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of homeowners through different various aspects of their situations. If they are working on a modification, we can help assist them, in taking care of that, because we know statistically that only 14% of homeowners who go into a modification will actually be approved for that modification. So there's a whole host of homeowners that need assistance in just getting through that process. If a modification isn't right for them or doesn't work for their situation, then we can go into a short sale, and because that's a much better option for them than foreclosure is. We had one particular short sale, and we talk about it, and it's kind of like, I have to be careful. It took us 4.5 years to get it done. And the reason that I have to say
whoa.
It
4.5
was a very
years?
long purchase.
Yeah.
4.5 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are committed, if nothing else.
We are extremely committed, and it's because of that, and that's our work ethic and our work quality, is that these homeowners had been disenfranchised by 4 different groups of people. Everybody saying, "Oh, I'm here to help you." And they did not realize that they had given up their grant deed, and that company reconveyed their first mortgage. It was a WAMU loan, and so there's all these lawsuits ensued, and we finally got it and had to explain to them that they didn't actually sell their property, they just signed over the deed to their house. And it had 17 liens. We had to have somebody go to the federal penitentiary to get the signature from the parties that defrauded the homeowners. So
Wow.
there's just like this whole mass of things that happened, but we were finally able to get it closed, and it was really just because those homeowners needed something positive to have happen in their life, in that they needed to get closure on this. And I'm grateful all of our cases aren't like that, because it was very arduous and time-consuming. But the bottom line was we got it done, and we are tenacious. So
You got that right. 4.5 years. Wow. Impressive.
yeah.
And so what does a typical case
that's
look
our
like?
longest one.
Yeah, what does a typical case look like then?
Typical homeowner will come in with a situation, we'll assess it, we'll decide the best strategy for doing their short sale, because not every short sale is alike. We call them, they're like snowflakes, no two are alike. And given their financial situation, their hardship, the investors on their loans, the servicers on the loans, we'll have to put a plan together to give them the best outcome for the homeowner. It's not for the agent or not for us. It's really, what does that homeowner need to have happen for them? And so a typical transaction that has 2 liens on it, maybe some IRS liens or whatever, we can typically get those short sales approved in about 45 to 60 days, and then get the homeowner transitioned into their new location. So it doesn't hang over their head for years. 4.5 years was like I said, that's an anomaly.
Wow.
But most of them usually run a couple of months. Yeah.
Awesome. That's excellent. I mean, and that's a simple way of looking at what is technically, a very challenging, or could be a very challenging problem. Is, hey, I'm behind on my payments. I need a way. I need a place to stay still. I need some help. And you guys are there for me. To help the homeowner. And I said there for me because I'm thinking back, a few years ago, I wish there would have been somebody who had a plan and could tell me and my wife what we should have done and how we could have gone through, our own process more gracefully. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. I'm just kind of curious, do you guys ever run into the individual, either agent and or homeowner who's possibly, in denial in any way, shape, or form, or just feels so overwhelmed that they're frozen, they don't know what to do? How do you handle that?
Yes.
Well, basically,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I know.
Well,
I
what
was
I was going
just
to start
going
to
to
say is yes.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Tina.
Tina.
Okay. Yes, we definitely get a lot of those people. And essentially, it's just a matter of conversation. We just need to find out where they're at, answer their questions, and guide them gently through the process, and also help them recognize what life might be like when they don't have this dark cloud hanging over them.
Yeah. Yes, that dark cloud. I can remember the day that it lifted. What were you going to say, Marlene?
Well, what I was gonna mention is that we do see a lot of homeowners that are in this transition of denial and fear. And the denial is that somebody's going to come to my rescue, and so this is all going to go away. One morning I'm going to wake up and it's all going to be fixed. And then down to the fear, and that's what stops them, is because they don't know what to do next and they don't know where to go. If I lose my house today, where am I going to live tomorrow? Who's going to rent to me? What's going to happen to my future? And that's where we have a lot of dialogue with homeowners and their agents, or just direct with homeowners, or if we're working directly with them, to let them know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that we're going to walk them through this process, and that when it's done, there will be a place for them to go, and a place for them to be able to move forward with their life and take off that stress, because they're not sleeping. They're in stress, and they're in denial, and they're kind of just, they look at you like I don't know what to do, and then they think foreclosure is the best thing, and it's truly not.
Yeah, I can remember having that almost that same progression of thought. It's, if I lose my house today, where am I going to live tomorrow, and who's going to rent to me? Obviously, we didn't have the assistance to someone to guide us through those very things, but that's definitely the questions that were running through my head, and I know they were running through my wife's head, and we were totally stressed. We just didn't know what to do. And well, for us, obviously things have turned around, etc. But the point is that now that there are solutions out there, and you guys are out there providing a solution, and that's what entrepreneurs do best, is that we provide solutions to challenges. All right, now you're probably wondering, why are we talking about problems so much? Well, and one of the things to understand, as you probably have heard me say many times, is that entrepreneurs solve problems. You just heard me say that a second ago. What I'm hoping to do is to give you many different ways of understanding problems, specifically with this episode, because sometimes we can see things going on and go, somebody should do something about it. And now, when you apply our ingenuity to it, we have the ability to be that someone that could become a solution. Many times people think, oh, I'm taking advantage of people. And this is a key concept to understand. You're not taking advantage of people unless you are taking advantage of people. I don't think you guys who are listening are that type of person. What I do believe is that you want to find a genuine way to help. However, you can get focused. We can all get focused on how much money it makes us, and all about us, and what about me, and all the things that I used to be and do. Here's what's important to understand. Go out there and help somebody. Solve their problem, and ask them then what they're willing to give in exchange. Those are the things that are very, very key. Anyway, let's get over to the cash flow question for this particular episode. If you remember from last time, the question was, when using the measurement known as GRM, also known as gross rent multiplier, what does a high number indicate? A high number indicates that you have a situation in which the income that is coming in from the actual property can represent a significant portion, if not a lot, of the capital that you had just laid out. For example, if, for example, you have a gross rent multiplier of 2, that's one of my favorite numbers. If you've ever participated in any of the deal reviews that we do those live, typically on Tuesdays at cashflowdiary.tv. And you see me use the gross rent multiplier of 2. What it simply means is that if I take all the income on a particular building, multiply that by 2, that hopefully is the purchase price. But when you have a really, really high ratio, that high number, it could be an indicator that it's time to sell, that the pricing has become more than the stream of cash flow is actually worth. That could be a very, very, very good time for you to sell. May not necessarily, which is therefore means the converse is also true. May not be a good time to buy. However, every marketplace, keywords, please hear me here. Every marketplace has a different time to buy and a different time to sell, specifically when you're using the gross rent multiplier method. Some marketplaces, the time to buy is at 2. Some, the time to buy is at 6. Some, the time to buy is at 16. Some, the time to sell is at 6. And some, the time to sell is at 15. And some is 18. And some is, they all have different measurements. It's just a way of trying to level the playing field so that you can understand what you're paying for. Sometimes we lose sight of that. What am I paying for? And gross rent multiplier, while yes, many of you probably know all about cap rate and net operating income, and that's great, but that's net operating income, meaning there are more factors inside of that. For example, just the expenses and management of the building, which could be skewing what's actually going on. And you just want to have many different levels of ways of looking at that information. Anyway, for those of you wondering, what is that question about? Where does it come from? Basically, what we've been doing for quite some time is if you answer the question correctly, you get a copy of my upcoming book. It's Cash Flow Diary. Go figure. And what's in the book is just showing you how I was able to build a substantial real estate portfolio across many different states using very little, if any, of my own money or credit. And all the processes, the thought processes, the actual steps by steps, the what that looks like. You got before and afters of the multifamily buildings, how to raise the capital, all these types of things included in one book. Many people like to win things, so that's what you get to win. If you answer the question correctly, you send in your answers to 800-689-1764, 800-689-1764, or you can email your answer to cashflowquestion@cashflowdiary.com. For those of you wondering, the book is scheduled for March. We're not that far off now, and I'm very, very excited about it. So let's go to this week's question to give you guys an opportunity so that you can go ahead and get a shot at winning the book. It says, of the following 4 resources, now another way of saying that would be which of the following 4 items, of the following 4 resources, knowledge, time, money, or credit, which does wholesaling use the most? Of the following 4 resources, which does wholesaling use the most? You're probably wondering, why is Jay talking about wholesaling? Well, simply, I'm going to be on a boat here shortly at the Summit at Sea with the Real Estate Guys, another awesome podcast here in iTunes. And you probably want to go over to cashflowdiary.com/summit at sea. If you want to find out more details about that, be hanging out with Peter Schiff, Ken McElroy, and a whole bunch of other really, really, really smart people. If you ever wanted to catch up with us in person, now would be the time to get knees to knees across dinner tables and actually ask those real questions that you've always wanted to know. Anyway, send in your answers to the question, 800-689-1764, cash flow question at cashflowdiary.com to get a chance to win the upcoming book. For those of you who want more details about the book, it's cashflowdiary.com/book. Let's get back to the interview. So I'm kind of curious, Tina, what would you said part of your business helps agents as well during this challenge. What is the challenge that agents are experiencing in the marketplace that you guys, provide? We understand the homeowner because they're the ones who got to do something, but how are you guys helping agents?
Well, essentially by doing everything in regards to the short sale for them. So agents' best use of their time is to go out and do what they know best, which is marketing, finding homeowners who need to sell or who want to buy. And in the past, if an agent took on a short sale, it's very time consuming, and they would find themselves handling a short sale instead of going out and finding their next deal. So essentially why we benefit them is we handle all of that back work, which allows them to go out and do what they do best. And typically our services are free for agents, so they really love us.
Well, you just said one of my favorite words right there. Free 99 is always in the budget. That's for sure. Now, if you're listening, you heard you heard a different way to approach business. Is that sometimes you can found your entire business, what creates cash flow for you, by making someone else more productive at what they do. As Tina said, it's not the highest and best use of their time. So one way to attack the problem is to look at it and go, okay, the highest and best use of this person's time is X, and I can do this piece that allows them to become, in theory, more profitable because they can stay focused on what it is that they do best. I'm just kind of curious, do you have any agents that, just keep coming back to you over and over again because they can now process more and get more stuff done?
Oh, most definitely. They are probably the majority of the agents that we have come back on a regular basis. And they actually have seen an increase in their business because they concentrate specifically on the short sale market and have us work on their back end while they just continue to fill their pipeline.
Well, according to the numbers Marlene told us about the $35 billion, $111 billion over the next few years, it doesn't look like there's going to be any trouble for filling the pipeline. That's for sure.
Well, that's interesting because a lot of agents out there think that short sales are dead. And so Marlene and I actually do training for agents, and we'll get in front of a room of 50 and we'll ask how many agents are going after short sales. And we maybe get 2 or 3 hands that will raise because the perception out there is that the short sale market is going away. So it's an untapped market for a lot of agents. They find they don't have the competition out there, and they probably wouldn't be very happy to hear us spreading the word that no, it's a good market for all.
Right. Were you going to say something, Marlene?
Yeah, just a couple of things. In the fact that we do agent trainings, works in our business model because currently in Orange County, there are 166,000 homeowners that are underwater. They're at zero equity or below. Now, if those homeowners, then you add notice of default or any type of distress to that homeowner, they're going to need somebody to help them through that process. I myself as an agent cannot market to or knock on the door of 166,000 homeowners that need my help.
But you're trying.
So it's really in our best interest. I'd be dead. But so I'm better off. I'm better off actually talking to a sales force of people that are in contact with that 166,000, and then it in turn brings it back into you find them, we'll take care of it. So therefore, more homeowners are actually being helped than if I kept a secret and just tried to do it all myself. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely, and in fact, it goes right to the point that I frequently tell people is that wealth is a team sport. You can't play every position on the team, and you can't always win if you try to do it that way. And you can win more games more frequently if you have substitutions. So you need lots of people together working towards the same goal. And that's one of the things that I think you guys have done very smartly, is that you've aligned yourself with what is a major market trend, found a way to use your strengths. You didn't go after finding things that you were, weak at and saying, hey, let's improve those. You took what you were already strong at and made that into a solution for many, many people all across the U.S. And just so that I'm clear, when I say all across the U.S., you guys are able to help anybody in the U.S., I would assume, because I know you're out here in Orange County, but you're not limited to just that, all right?
No, we work across the nation.
Okay. And I'm also kind of curious, is there, do you have a favorite story of an agent that you've been able to assist in some way, shape, or form?
That's a good question. A fun little story, I guess, is we did have one agent who brought us a short sale who told us that her husband had warned her never to go out after short sales because those were the toughest deals and they were very time consuming. But she was approached by a friend or somebody, so she felt the obligation to take on the short sale, and she brought the file to us. And after the process was done and she got her check, she said, "I like this. I'm going to go out and go get more." So that one was a perfect example of why they need us and how we can help them.
Absolutely. If you've never done something, it's tough. It's hard, and you got to figure it out. And then you find out, I'm not really good at it. And now you're trying to make a business out of it. I mean, like I said, when I said God bless you guys, I meant it, because I can't do paper. I learned the hard way when I was doing wholesaling for a while that paperwork was not something I should have been doing ever. And I'm so grateful for the people on the team that now handle the paperwork and those detailed things that they're not the highest and best use of my skill sets or time, and in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. So that's pretty good. Now, I'm just kind of curious, what would you say to the individual or individuals listening who are thinking, man, should I or shouldn't I do something? What is the most common reason that you found that people delay in working, doing short or processing their short sale or helping or getting a solution to their issue? Because I know for my wife and I, we didn't know what to do. It wasn't exactly like fun to go to a party and say, "Hey, we're about to lose our house. Can you help us?" What do you think is the most common reason that people shy away from either seeking help or finding the solution to? Because clearly you guys know what you're doing. You've been doing it for a number of years. Why is it so hard for people to find you?
Well, because we typically our marketing programs have been directly to the agent. Although we are reaching out and marketing to the homeowners directly, because I can't get the agents to latch onto the fact that there are still people out there that need their help. So along with the seller or the homeowner being kind of disillusioned as to what the process is and what to do, agents are also in that same group. They don't want to take on short sales because they feel like they're too long, they're too hard, it's not sexy enough, it's not equity, they think equity. And we are trying to convince them, hey, this can be your fastest and your easiest and your most profitable transaction. So here's what you need to do to go get it. The homeowner, on the other hand, needs to be reached out to, and they need good, solid information. And that's what they're not getting. And so we're trying to bring that direct to the homeowner, to the consumer, through the agent and through our own marketing resources. Because I believe that when a homeowner has all the facts before them, then they can make informed decisions. Information is important. They need to know what decisions they're making and how they're going to impact them. And so without that, with a lack of information, lack of knowledge, they do nothing because they just don't know what direction to run in. It's like, the sky is falling. Do I go over here or do I go over there?
Right.
So they need somebody actually to have dialogue with them and say, hey, you know what, this is not the end of your life. It's not the end of your world. This is a speed bump that you have. And if I can get you out of your home and put you into a transitional rental that you can get your credit cleaned up and you can take care of some housekeeping business, I can get you into a home the following year. Does that sound reasonable to you? Instead of paying a negative mortgage, you're going to be paying a positive mortgage. Does that sound better? And they look at me like, you mean I can actually buy again? And again, it goes down to information. Yes, they can purchase again within 12 months. Most can within 12 months. So it's just the fact of the sheer information, the quality of information that they don't have.
Makes total sense. I love it. Now, to that effect, is there, I think you guys have a way for the homeowner to get some more information? I know you're slick on this whole technology thing. I like it a lot. Could you share with us what it is that they would need to do if I'm that homeowner and I want to get more information so I can start making some better decisions?
Well, for homeowners, we actually offer a report called the 7 Tricks Banks Play when doing a loan mod or a short sale. And so in order to get that report, they can dial or text 949-381-0072. They just send their name and email address, and that report will be sent out to them. Of course, if a homeowner has questions specifically on their own property, they can always call our office to speak to us directly. And that number is 949-340-5457.
Excellent. And you said you spend some time training agents on helping to work with you, and you've got this additional information for them as well. How would they access that?
Okay, so for agents, all they have to do is call 949-337-1551, and that actually will send out a series of videos that walks them through the entire short sale process and how to work with us from start to finish. And it gives them very comprehensive information as far as what we need and what we expect and how it all works.
Excellent. And for those of you wondering, if you just want to tap into a website, they are at shortsalesapproved.com. Shortsalesapproved.com. Now, before we finish, though, I gotta ask this question because it's really important to me and it's close to my heart. How do you guys work either with investors, or do you even manage to go down the road of this short sale thing as it relates, to apartment buildings or commercial real estate?
Well, yes, the answer is yes, we do work with investors. We have several groups of investors that are marketing for their own properties via short sale, and they have built relationships with these agents, and they bring the short sale to us, and we negotiate it on behalf of the investor. So again, in any transaction, the listing agent has to be willing to relinquish some control and let us do that back-end paperwork for them. For some agents, that's incredibly difficult, but they're probably not the ones that do a lot of transactions because you can only do so many. And as far as commercial, we have done a couple of commercial short sales, and so the process is a little bit more tedious, but yes, it can definitely be done. So we've had transactions that we've done that are, I think the lowest one that we were working on was $30,000 out in Georgia, and we have a $4.5 million one coming in this week. So we work on all ranges.
Nice. And I'm just curious, that $4.5 million, now you're going to tell me that's a single-family house in California, aren't you?
It is a California home, and the value of it's actually about $6 million. So the investor's bringing in a $4.5 million offer, and we're hoping to keep it down at his price point, so then he can, I'm like, okay, there's got to be a really tight exit strategy for that property because It's an investor. So.
Yeah. I love that. An investor whose identity is such that, hey, a $4.5 million house is an actual deal. I love that. I love it a lot. Anything else, ladies, that you'd like to share as it relates to solving problems, being an entrepreneur, something that person who's out there wondering how can they begin to, their own cash flow story, if you will. What is it that you feel that they need to hear to be able to take those next steps and become, more than what they are today?
Well, this isn't really on the entrepreneur side, but one thing I did want to say for your people who are listening out there is that we have talked a lot about homeowners who are in distress. But the one thing that we haven't mentioned are homeowners who are sitting there with their homes in an upside down position who are not missing payments and are thinking that they cannot do anything in their situation. And I just wanted to let you know that we can and do all the time short sales for people who have never missed a payment, are high income earners, and they're just wanting to move on. We definitely can help them get their homes sold. And we know many lenders who can actually get them a loan to buy their next home the day after their short sale closes.
Wow. I'm glad we made time for that. Marlene?
Well, Jay, the thing that comes to mind in light of your question is what we spoke of earlier. I think for anybody that's getting into a business, you need to know your gifts and your talents, and you need to stick with those. And Tina and I have had a partnership for going on probably 7.5 years. We have strengths in different areas, and I could not do this business that we do by myself, nor do I believe she really could either. So together, the partnership is what has given us the strength to do this. And so because, you're not good at paperwork, you find somebody to do that for you. If we try to do every aspect of whatever business you're trying to put together, you're going to exhaust yourself. So I think people really need to look closely at their strengths and what they're good at and find a service or find a way to utilize that and monetize it, really.
Agreed. 100%.
And persist.
I'm sorry, and what?
And be persistent.
Oh, you mean every day's not rosy and fun?
There's a bit of tenaciousness that's required in starting your own business. I think there have been times where Marlene and I, probably different times, where we could have just quit and said, forget about it. However, you wake up the next day and you go, nope, it's worth to keep going. And that's a huge part of being an entrepreneur, is just waking up every day and saying, no, this is worthwhile and I need to pursue it.
Absolutely. I can imagine that from time to time you guys probably get thank you cards or emails from people that you've helped.
Not enough, no. We do from time to time.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
No, the best part for us, the best part for us is that the homeowners, we do get a lot of gratitude from homeowners who are moving on, and that's really quite fulfilling for us, is to know that we're helping one person at a time overcome the situation they are in. What a lot of people don't understand is that big businesses, they go out there and they have to restructure financially and make decisions. Some companies file bankruptcy. Some companies close some of their businesses down. And there's this perception in an individual world that us as homeowners and families aren't allowed to do that. There's that big unknown that morally I can't make a difference. And part of the battle that we find when we're talking to homeowners is most people approach this decision about what to do with their homes from an emotional standpoint. But if they really took a step back and analyzed it logically and in a business sense, most of them would find that financially getting rid of their home and selling it and moving on to a different situation, while painful here, is one of the best decisions they could make for their families. An interesting statistic is, of course, we've started this in 2007, 2008, and those homeowners, it was really tough because it wasn't the in thing to short sell their homes and things like that. And we spoke in depth with a lot of those homeowners and agonized with them over making that decision. However, I think here in California, the second largest group of buyers are now those homeowners who did short sales back in 2007, 2008. And I can bet you every one of them as buyers are saying that was the best financial decision they made. It was a hard decision, but financially they are way better off for it.
Yep, totally understood. Marlene, any final comments?
Yeah, I was just thinking about one of our situations. You talk about people being grateful for what we do and thanking us. There have been so many homeowners that have come up and just really appreciated the work and the time and energy that we've put into their properties. One of the situations was an agent who was selling a house I think the transaction ended up being $1.2 million when it was finished, but it was going to foreclosure, and I negotiated the transaction and got it closed down and ready approval. We did everything from start to finish in like 4 days, and so many hoops had to be jumped through to get this transaction to keep it out of foreclosure, and it was just a series of steps and sequences that got it to that point. But we had heard that when the transaction closed, the agent and the buyer, the new buyer for this house, went out to dinner and they toasted us. We're like, well, you could have invited us. We would have been happy to come. But the seller was ecstatic about getting his parents out of that house. They turned around and gave us another transaction. The buyer's agent on that transaction gave us another transaction. The seller brought in another deal, and so everybody on that entire transaction was just thrilled. The agent, who was the one who brought us the deal, he did send us to Costa Rica for a week, so that was really nice. But yeah, it is gratifying to know that we're helping people transition out of a difficult situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope that you've enjoyed listening today. I hope that you've gained some pearls of wisdom on just some of the foundational things that are definitely there when it comes to establishing business in your own cash flow story. And at the same time, you've also heard from some of the ground folk, if you will. That's what entrepreneurs do. We roll up our sleeves, we get dirty, and we go out there and we solve a problem for a profit. And what's awesome is that we're often the ones also willing to share information, because we recognize, as Marlene said earlier, there's more problem than we by ourselves can solve, and we need help. We need you to help, and you can help honestly by just going out there and becoming a better person. If you obviously believe that you need some assistance with your particular situation, or if you know of someone who can, they've provided you some additional information for some additional reports. And if you're an agent, additional videos that you can begin to understand how to be able to help and become a part of the solution. So no longer do you point and say they should do something about this. You are now the they, and you can do something about it because you have a solution, and in fact, you have a short sale solution. So, ladies, I thank you for your time with us today.
Thank you, Jay.
Oh, thank you very much, Jay.
Thank you for investing your time with Jay Massey and the Cash Flow Diary. When you have a moment, please visit iTunes and leave a positive comment about the show. And go now to our website, cashflowdiary.com, to take advantage of our free business building course, Cash Flow Foundation. Gain the knowledge, understanding, and skill that will teach you how to never need a job again. Until next time.